You ever have one of those days that starts off so normal it practically lulls you into a false sense of safety? Yeah, that was me. Tuesday. Nothing fancy. I came home from work with a grocery bag full of ground beef and good intentions, humming along to some 90s tune the radio refused to let die. Spaghetti night. Because comfort food fixes everything, right? Apparently not infidelity. I walked in and called out, "Honey, I'm home," like I always did, half joking, half hoping she'd actually answer from the kitchen like in those sitcoms that lie to you about how marriage works. No response. Instead, there was a smell, red wine. Bold. Sharp. The expensive stuff she used to only open for birthdays or when her sister came over to gossip about her coworkers. Except there was no birthday. No sister. Just two glasses on the coffee table, one half full, lipstick smudged, and a sock on the floor. A man's sock. Now, I'm not a detective, but you don't need Sherlock Holmes when your wife's idea of subtlety is failing to pick up the evidence off the living room rug. I froze, standing there with a bag of groceries that suddenly felt like concrete. My brain tried to rationalize, maybe it was laundry. Maybe a neighbor. Maybe ghosts. Because, I'd rather believe in ghosts than what I was starting to suspect. That's when I heard the laugh. Not hers. His. Low, confident. The kind of laugh a man makes when he's not worried about being caught, because he thinks the husband's supposed to be at work until 5. "Bathroom's all yours," I heard her say, voice light as air. I stood there like someone watching a car crash in slow motion, except I was the car, and the crash was happening in my own living room. So I did what any self-respecting, shock-numbed man would do. I backed out of the house, groceries still in hand, set them gently on the front step like I was making an offering to the gods of betrayal, and I walked. Just walked. No shoes. No phone. Just me and my thoughts. And brother, those thoughts were loud. I must have circled the block 5 times before I landed at my buddy Craig's porch. Knocked. Sat on his steps. Didn't say a word until he handed me a cold beer and said, "You look like someone who found a ghost in his kitchen." "Close," I muttered. "Wife." "Other man." "Wine." "Sock." Craig took a long sip. "Ah. The OL, wine and sock combo." I nodded. Classic, right? He didn't ask if I was okay. Real friends don't ask questions with obvious answers. They just sit there with you, staring into the evening sky like it might drop a solution in your lap. That night, I didn't go back. Not home, at least. I crashed at Craig's. On his lumpy couch, under a blanket that smelled like old barbecue and dog hair. But I slept better than I had in months. Because for the first time, I wasn't lying to myself. The truth had walked in, wearing someone else's sock. The next morning hit me like a hangover I hadn't earned. Sunlight stabbed through Craig's blinds, and my neck was angled like a question mark. My back protested, and the dog licked my hand with the kind of sympathy only animals and toddlers can deliver without making you feel pitied. Craig handed me coffee like a man passing ammo before a war. "So what's the plan?" "The plan." I took a sip. It tasted like overconfidence and burnt beans. "Go home, ask her straight, and see how well she lies." Craig nodded, like he'd seen this before. "You want me to go with you?" "No," I said. "This is a one-man apocalypse." By 10 a.m., I was back at the house. The sock was gone. The wine glasses were washed and flipped upside down on the rack like none of it had happened. She was in the kitchen, humming, frying eggs, barefoot in one of my t-shirts. The casual domesticity of it made my skin crawl. "Morning," she said, not even turning around. "You have company last night?" I asked. She stiffened. "Barely. Just enough for me to catch it if I was looking, which I was." "No. Why?" she said too slowly, like she had to taste test the lie before serving it. I motioned to the counter. 2 glasses of the Bordeaux. "That's not a solo wine." She turned, leaned on the counter. "I had a rough day. Wanted to feel a little fancy. Poured 2 out of habit." "And the sock?" Her eyes narrowed. "What sock?" "The one that wasn't mine. Black. Nike. Size 11, if I had to guess." Silence. The kind that swells like a balloon in your throat. Then she exhaled. Looked at the floor like it held answers. "Okay," she said. "There was someone here." She said it like she was confessing to finishing the last slice of pizza, not detonating a decade of marriage. I didn't move. Didn't blink. Just said, "Who?" "It's not serious," she said quickly, like that was supposed to make it better. "It was a mistake." "No," I said. "A mistake is forgetting our anniversary. This is logistics. Wine, clothes off, lies. You planned this. You chose this." She looked at me then, And not with guilt. With relief. Like I had finally said it so she didn't have to. I haven't been happy, she said. Not for a while. The greatest hits album. You didn't say that. You didn't ask. I shook my head. You didn't give me a chance. She turned off the stove. Left the eggs sizzling, half-cooked. I'm not in love with you anymore. There it was. The bullet, right between the ribs. Not a scream. Not a slap. Just a slow knife through the quiet. I didn't fight it. I didn't cry. I just picked up my keys and said, well, don't worry. You won't have to pretend much longer. And I left. Not because I was defeated, but because I'd just seen the truth in her eyes, and I knew what I had to do next. She wanted a man who wouldn't fold socks? Good. Because what was coming next? That man didn't fold anything. You ever sit in your own car, parked in your own driveway, and feel like a trespasser? That was me. I didn't even start the engine. Just sat there, hands on the wheel, breathing like a guy who'd just outrun something wild, only to realize it was still inside him. She'd said it with such composure. I'm not in love with you anymore. Not even a tremble in her voice. Like she was canceling a gym membership, not torching a life we built together. I spent the next hour driving aimlessly. Past the grocery store we used to argue in. Past the movie theater where she cried during every sad film and pretended not to. Past the dog park where we talked about maybe getting a second one. Back when we still talked about futures instead of damage control. And then, like fate, or really bad luck, I ran into someone I hadn't seen in a while, Trevor. Trevor, her cousin. The one with the memory of an elephant and the filter of a broken coffee machine. He spotted me from across the gas station lot and waved me down like I owed him a kidney. Hey, man. Long time. Wait, you okay? Yeah, I lied. Just getting gas. Cool, cool. He rocked back on his heels. Saw Becca the other night at Riley's. You were there too, right? Pause. Sorry. What? Becca. My cousin. At Riley's Tavern. Friday night. I blinked. I wasn't there. He scratched his head. Oh. Weird. Must have been someone else with your face. She was with some guy. Tall. Shaved head. Arms like a Marvel stunt double. They were dancing like they had history. My jaw clenched so hard I thought a molar might give out. But I smiled. Must have been someone else. Right. My bad. He clapped my shoulder. Tell her I said hey. Oh, I would. I got back in the car and let the pieces slide into place. The sock. The wine. The Friday night work event, she said, ran long. Riley's Tavern. That was our spot. Our first date spot. The place she said had energy. And she brought him there. The man she cheated with didn't just steal moments, he stole memories. And she gave them freely. I drove home, not boiling with rage. No, something colder. More precise. Like a surgeon prepping for a quiet procedure. She wasn't home. Of course not. Probably off finding herself, or more likely, losing herself in someone else's cologne. So I went to work. I opened the old shoebox in the closet, filled with warranty receipts, love notes, and the copy of our prenup. Yeah, we had one. Her idea, actually. Said it was modern and responsible. Funny how that responsibility disappeared when his shirt hit our floor. I pulled it out, scanned the terms, and smiled. Because in her desire to protect her yoga studio and independent woman empire, she'd forgotten I was the one who built the safety net beneath it. She thought I'd stay quiet. Stay noble. Stay predictable. But Noble left the building when Marvel stunt double put his sock in my living room. This wasn't about getting even. This was about getting back. Everything. You ever realize you've been the quiet guy in a chess game you didn't even know you were playing? Well, by the end of that week, I was done being the pawn. Done folding laundry while someone else unfolded my wife. That prenup she signed in all her modern woman wisdom? Turns out, it had some very specific language. Language she forgot the day she started treating our house like a revolving Airbnb. The kind of legal poetry that says if one party engages in infidelity, proof required, the other walks away with everything. Guess who had proof? I wasn't sloppy about it. No angry text messages. No scorched earth on social media. I didn't even change the locks. Instead, I got methodical. First, I called Sam. My oldest friend and my quietest weapon. Sam's a lawyer. One of those scary ones who smiles like a shark and remembers every clause you skimmed over. He didn't even say hello when I called. Just answered with, "What took you so long?" Apparently, Becca's been broadcasting red flags like a weather station for a year. Everyone saw the storm coming except me. Sam had a plan within 30 minutes. Do nothing loud, he said. No drama. Just get your documentation in line. Clean, quiet, and cruel. You want out of this with dignity and the dog. I'm keeping Bentley, I confirmed. Good, he replied. That's the one thing you both still love. He wasn't wrong. Next, I did something that felt absurdly satisfying. I went shopping. I bought a portable scanner, a new USB drive, and a small safe. Not to hide secrets. To keep receipts. I gathered everything. The receipts, the Instagram stories she thought I hadn't seen, the text messages between her and her colleague that she deleted from her phone but forgot to remove from our sync tablet. She always joked I was so predictable. Bless her. She never once thought I'd be the one with backups. Then came the final piece. I booked a consultation with a private investigator. Now before you roll your eyes, no, I didn't follow her around with binoculars or hire a guy in a trench coat. I just wanted a time-stamped record of where she was going when she said she was clearing her head or doing a girls' night. Turns out, girls' night was a guy named Shane. Shane, a personal trainer with biceps the size of regret and an inspirational quote tattooed on his forearm. Classic. While she was meditating at hot yoga, Shane was driving her home in his Jeep and staying the night. The moment I had the file in my hands, a neat little folder with dates, locations, and photos, I didn't feel rage. I felt calm, like the moment before a clean surgical incision. It wasn't about revenge in the dramatic sense. I wasn't going to humiliate her. I wasn't going to scream or cry or throw her stuff on the lawn like some backyard soap opera. She wanted out? She was getting out. But not with my house. Not with my dog. Not with half of everything I spent years building. The next Saturday, I made breakfast. Eggs. Toast. The works. She came down in her robe, gave me a kiss on the cheek, habit, not affection, and said, "You're in a good mood today." "Yep," I said, pouring her coffee. "Doing anything fun?" "Just making a list," I replied. She laughed, walked off to do her makeup. Probably for Shane. That afternoon, I printed the file. A copy for her, a copy for Sam, and one I slid gently into her top dresser drawer with a note. Thought you'd want to see how your girls' nights look on paper. P.S. You might want to check Clause 8.3 of the prenup. Love. The man who used to fold your socks. She didn't find it right away. That was the best part. She found it the next morning while getting dressed, right after I took Bentley for a walk and dropped off the signed divorce petition with her name already filled in. Her phone started blowing up about 30 minutes later. I let it ring. Then the texts came in waves. "Can we talk? What is this? Where did you get these photos? You don't have to do this. Let's just talk like adults." Ah, yes, now we're adults. When she finally called, voice trembling, all soft concern and shaken guilt, I picked up on the fourth ring. "Hello. Why would you do this? You mean, gather evidence before being legally ambushed by the woman cheating in my house?" That part. A pause. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." "Don't worry," I said calmly. "You don't have to go any further. Just sign the papers and keep the furniture." She started to cry. Or pretend to. I'll give her credit. Becca was always good at theatrics. Just not good enough to rewrite the script this time. "Oh, and Becca," I added. "You might want to tell Shane he's in the folder too. Wouldn't want him to be surprised when his gym sponsors see it." Silence. Then, "This is cruel." "No," I said. "This is chess. And I finally learned how to play." I hung up. She didn't call again that day. Or the next. The thing people don't tell you about revenge is that the best kind doesn't end in chaos, it ends in peace. Clean. Quiet. Like folding the last shirt in an empty drawer. I didn't shout. I didn't burn anything. I just made sure that when she finally realized what she lost, she'd have nothing left to say. And I slept like a king. Bentley curled at my feet. In a house that was finally clean. You ever get an apology from someone who's not sorry? It usually starts with, "I never meant to hurt you," which is code for, "I didn't expect to get caught." 3 days after I served her the papers and dropped that little folder of betrayal onto her dresser like a quiet grenade, Becca showed up at my door. Not a call. Not a text. A full performance. She wore that olive green sweater I once said made her eyes pop, like she thought the right shade of yarn could rewind a decade. She even brought Bentley's favorite treats, like buying my dog's loyalty might earn back mine. "Hey," she said, holding up the bag of peanut butter biscuits like a peace treaty. "Can we talk?" I didn't open the screen door. Just leaned against the frame, coffee in hand, heart calm. "About what?" "I read everything," she said softly, eyes darting. "The file. The evidence." "You mean the truth?" She winced. Almost theatrical. I didn't know you were hurting this much. I raised an eyebrow. Yeah, you seemed real concerned in those hotel selfies with Captain CrossFit. She exhaled sharply. Look, I messed up. I know that. But I never stopped caring about you. Caring, I echoed, sipping my coffee. Is that what we're calling it now? Her voice dropped to that soft, whispery tone she used when she wanted something. Can I come in? I looked her dead in the eye. No. For a second, just a flash, her expression cracked. Not sadness. Not regret. Annoyance. Like I was the rude one for not letting her deliver her speech on my couch with Bentley curled up next to her like a hostage. I get it, she said, regrouping. You're angry. I'm not angry, I replied. I'm awake. That one landed. She stepped back like the door itself had leaned forward and slapped her. She looked down at the porch like it might offer her a script. I think we owe it to what we had to talk. At least once. What we had, I repeated. You mean the marriage you pawned for a protein shake and a cheap thrill? Her voice cracked then, but it wasn't real. I could tell. The same way you can tell store-bought tears from rain on a windshield. She wiped at her eye, even though nothing had fallen. You're being cruel. No, I said. Cruel is humiliating your partner in silence while you plan a future with someone else. Okay, yes, she snapped. I was confused. I felt stuck. But I didn't plan this. Oh, I said, stepping forward just enough to make sure she couldn't mistake the tone. So he just tripped and fell into our bed? She flinched. The treats in her hand crinkled. Bentley barked behind me like he knew his name had been used in vain. She tried again. We weren't working. You know that. We barely talked. And whose job was it to talk? I asked. You could have said something. Anything. But instead, you just opted out. She swallowed hard. I didn't want to hurt you. But you did it anyway, I said. You just didn't want to see it. For a moment, she looked tired. Not heartbroken. Not sorry. Just inconvenienced. She took a step back. I know I've lost your trust. But maybe we could rebuild it. I'd be willing to go to therapy. I laughed. Couldn't help it. It wasn't a bitter laugh. It was the kind you make when someone suggests putting training wheels back on a bike that's already crashed into the ocean. We passed therapy 2 affairs ago, I said. She blinked. It wasn't 2. I raised a hand. Don't stand on the technicality cliff while you're already underwater. She looked at the ground again. Kicked at a leaf. So that's it. We're just done. No, I said. You were done. Months ago. I'm just catching up. Then I opened the screen door slightly, not to let her in, but to let Bentley out. He trotted past her, didn't even pause. Went straight to the yard like she was just another neighbor. She stared after him like he betrayed her too. Can I at least say goodbye? She asked quietly. You just did, I replied. Then I closed the door. Inside, the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt earned. Like peace had finally found a chair to sit in. I walked into the living room, flipped on the record player. Yeah, I'm that guy, and let some old blues fill the space she used to dominate. The phone buzzed later. Messages from mutual friends. She says you're being cold. Maybe you should hear her out. Everyone makes mistakes. You were such a good couple. I didn't reply to any of them. Because here's the thing no one likes to admit. Not every good couple is good on the inside. Some people are just good at posing. And me? I was done being part of a portrait that never looked like us anyway. That night, I slept better than I had in months. No cold shoulder beside me. No late-night texts she swore were from work. Just the sound of Bentley snoring at my feet and a calendar with nothing left on it that wasn't mine. She thought I'd break. Thought I'd beg. Thought I'd fold. But I didn't. I let her see what it looks like when the safe, boring guy walks away with everything. And I didn't even raise my voice. There's something oddly satisfying about watching someone try to salvage a narrative they lit on fire. Becca, God bless her, thought the story could still be rewritten. With a new tone. Maybe a new main character. One where she's the brave, misunderstood woman, and I'm just the grumpy ex who took things too personally. Spoiler alert, I didn't let her ghostwrite my ending. About a week after she cried on my porch in that olive sweater, her campaign began. It started on social media. A photo of a sunset captioned, "Sometimes we break things to rebuild better." Real subtle. Then came the healing posts. Yoga mat selfies. Vegan smoothie recipes. An out-of-nowhere quote by Brené Brown about vulnerability. She even changed her profile picture from the 2 of us on that beach trip in 2018 to a filtered solo shot, chin tilted like she'd just conquered grief with a ring light. She was rebranding. I wasn't surprised. When life got messy, Becca didn't clean it up, she redecorated. But what made me laugh was what came next, the reach out to her. It started with old friends. People I hadn't heard from in months, suddenly texting me like they'd been thinking about us. "Hey man, Becca says you've been going through it. Just wanted to check in. She told me you're taking some time. That's probably for the best. Just remember, no one's perfect." Translation: she got to them first. That's when I decided, if she was going to rewrite the story, I'd just publish the real one. No rage. No public posts. Just facts. Delivered quietly. I called Dave. Now, Dave's not a lawyer or a therapist. He's better. He's a graphic designer with a petty streak and free time. The kind of guy who once made custom Christmas cards for his divorce that said single and silent night. I asked him to help me with a small project, a timeline. Photos. Screenshots. Dates. One clean, elegant PDF. "I'm not putting her face on a dartboard," I said. "I'm just organizing truth." He grinned. "Oh, we're building an archive. A betrayal museum." Exactly. While Dave was working his Photoshop magic, I handled the rest. Quietly took my name off the mortgage. Thanks to Clause 8.3 in our prenup, she now owed me a buyout or she could sell. I also froze the joint credit card. She called in a panic. "Did the card decline at Whole Foods?" "Yeah," I said. Turns out betrayal isn't a business expense. Click. She didn't call back. The document was ready by Friday. I didn't send it to her. I didn't need to. I sent it to the one person who'd know exactly where it would do the most damage, her mother. Now, if you're wondering, isn't that harsh? Let me explain something. Her mother once told me, during our first Thanksgiving, "I hope you keep her grounded. She tends to float into her own world if you let her." Well, guess what, Maureen? She floated too far. I emailed it with a short note. "Thought you'd want to know why your daughter's marriage ended. Since the smoothie captions don't cover it." Did I hear back? Nope. Did Becca? Absolutely. By Sunday, she was on my lawn again. No olive sweater this time. Just panic. "Why would you do that?" she snapped, arms crossed like she was still entitled to outrage. "You sent that to my mother?" "I didn't lie," I said. "You humiliated me." I tilted my head. "No, you did that. I just made sure the credits rolled properly." She paced like someone looking for a save point. "You're not the man I married." "No," I said. "He's gone. You buried him under lies and pre-workout protein." She stopped. "You're enjoying this." "I'm enjoying clarity," I said. "And silence. And not sleeping next to someone whose phone lights up more than a slot machine." Her lip trembled, and for the first time, I saw it. Not guilt. Not even regret. Fear. Not of me. Of the consequences. "You've made your point," she whispered. "I haven't even started," I replied, and walked back inside, closing the door on the woman who once thought I'd never leave. What followed was beautiful. She went quiet. Not just on social media. In general. No more subtle digs. No more vague poetry captions. Just silence. She'd realized she lost the PR battle, and more importantly, the leverage. She ended up selling the house 3 weeks later. Didn't even try to fight me on it. Guess she figured it was better than watching me walk away with the master bedroom and a moral high ground. I used my buyout money for 2 things. A cabin upstate. A watch I didn't need but always wanted. I named the cabin Closure. The watch? Petty. Timeless, really. Bentley and I moved in without ceremony. Just a duffel bag, a coffee grinder, and peace. Sometimes I still get messages from people who heard her version. They want to hear mine. But I just send them the PDF. No commentary. No sarcasm. Just facts. Because at the end of the day, I didn't need to scream to be heard. I just needed to stop pretending she was worth whispering for. It started small. A like here. A heart react on a photo of Bentley. Then came a comment on a picture of the cabin. "Looks peaceful. Glad you're doing well." No mention of the fire she started. Just vague nostalgia wrapped in social media politeness. I didn't respond. 2 days later, a message popped up. "I was in your part of town today. Thought about stopping by." I stared at it. Let it sit. You know how food poisoning usually starts with something that smells okay but feels wrong? Yeah, that. 5 minutes later, another one. "Would love to talk." Really? No drama. Just, "Miss you sometimes." That's the thing about ghosts. They don't stay gone. Not because they miss you, but because they miss what you made them feel about themselves. She didn't miss me. She missed the pedestal. Part 8. The invitation. She sent a real letter. Like, paper. Fancy envelope. Handwritten. I opened it. It said, "There's a wedding next month." Not mine. Obviously. Thought maybe you'd come with me. For old time's sake. She even included a little smiley face, like she was writing a high school crush. You know what I did? I RSVP'd. Not to attend. To decline, formally. I'd rather watch paint dry while someone critiques my folding technique. Respectfully, no. I mailed it back. Because closure isn't just about cutting ties. It's about making sure the scissors click loud enough for them to hear. A few weeks later, I was at the grocery store. Cabin Town edition. Flannel, retirees, and folks who know the cashier by name. I was in line, holding a basket of coffee and dog food, when someone tapped my shoulder. She was smiling. Not Becca, someone else. Her name was Mara. "Sorry," she said. "I know this is weird, but is that your dog from Instagram?" I blinked. "Bentley." She nodded. I recognized the ears. My golden retriever has the same tilted head thing. We ended up talking for 15 minutes. Not about heartbreak. Not about betrayal. Just life. Books. Pancakes. Dogs. She didn't ask what I did for a living. Didn't dig for damage. She laughed at my jokes like I meant to be funny, not like she was trying to stroke my ego back to life. It was normal, which felt revolutionary. She asked for my number. I gave it. Not with trembling hands. Not with a fake smile. Just a quiet, hopeful maybe. Last week, Becca sent one more message. Short. Honest. Heavy. "I saw you with her. I hope she gives you what I didn't." I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed back. "She already does. She listens." I didn't send anything else. I didn't explain. Some things don't need a monologue. The truth is, Becca didn't break me. She just revealed that I was folding myself small to fit into a life too shallow for who I was becoming. I didn't get loud. I didn't get violent. I didn't get revenge. I got better. I kept my dignity, my dog, and my coffee habits. And in the end, the man who folded socks, he unfolded himself and never looked back.